Into the Light will be the next major update for Destiny 2 before the final shape releases on June 1st. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what this has to offer, as it's not going to be a paid DLC like the Anniversary, which is considered a paid pack, if you will. I say paid DLC, whatever, if you let me know your thought on it. But it's technically not going to be a paid update. Into the Light will serve as its own like little sort of update that's free for all players that will be releasing in a couple months from now, in around April, May, prior to the final shape. So we'll be looking at it in today's video. Happy New Year's, everyone. I hope all of you are doing well in the first day of 2024. I thought it was a good idea to go into the Light update in today's video. I hope all of you do enjoy. And other than that, please be sure to subscribe, as we are trying to reach 30K before final shape, and we're only 300 subs away. But other than that, let's get right into it. So I was talking with some people. This leak has yet to really have a confirmation if it's true or not, but it's looking like this leak, before I go into it, is going to be more on a halfway mark. It has some new stuff, and then it has some stuff we've already talked about, so we're going to meet the middle marker with this one already. That's my thoughts on it. So the Into the Light is an ultimate about removing some of the time-gated issues with the game currently, as there's been a lot of issues with time gating recently in Destiny 2 if you have played, so this is supposed to alleviate that. And as well as speed boosting players to raid ready levels with elite weapons and armor. As you guys know, in a way, everyone grinds for that elite weapons and armor, and that speed boosting, it kind of makes it unfair for sort of the new players coming into the game. And that's the same with a lot of games, I should say, but there has been some speed boosting things that a lot of people want to, again, also alleviate in it. So with Into the Light, there's a new activity called Transpiration. It will be taking place on top of the helm in front of the Traveler and just outside the Witness's pyramid ship. Players will fight off enemies of the Witness while trying to establish a link with, spoiler alert if you haven't seen technically the finale of Season of the Wish, but the finale actually was leaked on the description page in the game, so Bungie technically leaked their own finale, whereas that the person that will be going through the portal will be the Crow, and will be establishing a link with the Crow in this mission, who is sent into the Paleheart in advance. We hear from Nezarec, who will making a return, which is awesome, whose consciousness still lingers in the Witness's pyramid ship. That's where Ruin Nightmares took place, and there will be no new loot from this activity. Instead, drops patterns, yes, entire weapon patterns from missing seasonal weapons with a low drop chance and other world drop loot. Also drops the previously season pass gated items, deep sight harmonizers. Looking at that, no new loot is actually something that I find really interesting, because it really puts to show that these activities, whether or not, are going to be really in the game once the final shape does launch. And I'm getting the feeling that Into the Light is going to be a temporary thing, and then other than the loot and armor, maybe if there is any loot and armor, which we'll get into, that they'll just keep it, or they'll just rid of this entire thing. It's only for the 2-month basis to get to the final shape. Who knows? That is something we got to think about. Now, there's no new armor or weapons. Instead, they will be bringing back a majority of old weapons from Destiny 1 that we haven't made it back yet, including old legendary weapons. So it might be that these weapons that will be returning will be sort of in that style how the Anniversary did it, where weapons from Destiny 1 are just put back into the pool, and then there will be maybe something like the Anniversary stuff with the Into the Light stuff will just stay for the next couple of years. Among the exotic weapons, apparently now there's going to be exotic weapons, Dreg's Promise will be making a return, reprised as a special ammo rocket pistol that fires 3 bolts, Patience and Time, which is now a void damage exotic sniper rifle that deals massive amounts of damage while invisible, while granting invisibility after sustained crouching, and a secret pairing with the Hunter's Assassin's Crowl exotic helmet, gaining a burst of health on sustained crouch. And they do say an icebreaker will now automatically ignite any scorched target and grant him was from thin air on ignition multi-kills. Now, I know we've talked about, if you haven't heard, that the Infective and the Icebreaker, 2 exotics from Destiny 1 that basically regen ammo after like anything they did, would not be returning either in the same fashion than they went from Destiny 1, as it stated that it would destroy the Crucible economy system. So if they are to return these weapons, it would have to be in a new way. So that doesn't necessarily cut out Icebreaker from returning, but there's a thin chance with Icebreaker actually returning into the game, as again we don't know, but Gallowhorn came back into Destiny 2. Who knows really with this, but I do feel patience and time, the Dregs promise, those 2 exotics looking like they'll return. So maybe 2 to 3 exotics if lucky with this DLC update, whatever. The new reprising weapons will be the missing reprised raid weapons, including Black Hammer, which comes with triple tap and 4 times a charm. These weapons will be tied to their respective raids, but won't drop from encounters as usual. Instead, the patterns are given upon completing new raid-specific quests. So they could go back into the raids and do something like that. Again, that is something that they would love to do. Of course, now with Fog, with King's Fall, and Courtesan in the game, they can go and do anything on weapons that haven't returned yet and put them in. So that's a cool idea. So new raid quest known as Raid Majesty quest with the release of Fireteam Finder. Bungie are more committed to raid content. This is true. I think Bungie really wants to go into raid stuff now with Fireteam Finder basically in the game. And these quests will require players to complete challenges to obtain said loot. Also, the introduction of Frost Armor on Stasis won't completely replace Stasis Overhaul, but instead it will be granted when players have a 50 HP Stasis Overshield. Grants a Shadow-like effect when Frost Armor is depleted. So there's more little changes to Stasis, as Stasis kind of got cut and dry throughout this whole year, so it's good to get some more Stasis love. So that kind of finishes everything we have up with Into the Light, and now we're going to go into like little final shape stuff before we close out today's video. Bungie has been keeping a solid 75% of Final Shape content hidden for story reasons. Now, I definitely get that. I was thinking more like half, but if it is 75 to 80% of the whole story content hidden, then it's going to be really a dived-out story that we'll all be surprised for, which I'm hoping. Now, there's 2 enemy factions. One of them is the new Subjugators, which we are aware of, and the other is the Witness Remains, or the Remains for short. In the final mission of the Final Shape, the Witness is torn from the darkness by a combined effort of the Vanguard, the player character, etc. In doing so, the Witness is split back into its original race, given shape by the light instead of the heart of the Traveler. Inside the heart of the Traveler. Given space by the light inside of the heart of the Traveler. Since no longer they have the means to enact the final shape, they instead find the means to enact revenge, trying to tear their way out of the Pale Heart. So this is really interesting. Now, the Remains, we don't know if this, I guess this does signify that the Witness race, if you will, I don't really know the name of the race. Did they have a name? I don't even remember. Will be coming back with the Subjugators. Subjugators I find really interesting, something similar to the Tormentors, but this Remain thing, I don't know if this is singular or if this is the entire group, but this is something interesting. However, I'm kind of on like the flip side of this, because technically, in a way, this year should really wrap up the Final Shape. And I don't know if they're going to go in this pattern, but hey, maybe they will, and the story will still continue with the Witness in a way, or the Witness's memories are gone and he's not the same person he once was, but he says he's enacting revenge. Again, I don't want to put too much on this, but there is some things that we need to clarify in this. The Final Shape raid has a whooping 6 encounters, 3 of them which are the Witness, 2 of them are opening, and a non-boss encounter. We talked about this raid is going to be a really big raid. I think whether regardless of how many encounters are in size, it's one of the raids that Bungie is really putting attention into, as this is the last Light and Dark Saga raid, so you would expect a lot out of Bungie with this, and I think the raid team has, whether what you think of the last raid, Root of Nightmares, last new raid, I think Bungie has really put their all out with new lore, new characters, and new content within the raid, so hoping this one will be a good one. And one of them, of the bosses, is a resurrected Nezarec, who will unwillingly bring into the Pale Heart via Mithrax, which is really interesting. I want to know more about that. Nezarec puppets a dead subjugator and commands the Taken. In the end of the raid, after loot is collected, the Witness has a fake-out death and kills the player character by swallowing them. Argos escapes, setting up the final mission. I could see this being true either way, because we know that after the raid will be after the 7 missions, the 8th mission will have the final mission, so it makes all sense there. But yeah, that kind of finishes up today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, then please be sure to subscribe. This is a really interesting leak. Again, time will tell whether if we're really going to believe it as time goes on, but you can see that there is little nitbits that you can see, oh yeah, that could happen. I think Bungie would definitely go for that. And I think one of them putting out the reasons that there isn't any new weapons kind of is giving me more hope for this leak, because every leak that we have actually read about on terms of Into the Light was always sort of like, oh, there's all these weapons and armor, but they're deleting the content once Final Shape releases. This kind of makes it more of a transparent update where they can keep doing things with it once the Final Shape arrives. But let me know your thoughts. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.